So this is the universal clamp rack. It was created by James Hamilton over at StumpyNubs.com. I contacted him before posting this video to make sure that he was cool with me doing that. Okay? Now, he said that was cool as long as I didn't give a step-by-step process, which I have not. Okay? So just so you know up front, the video that you're about to see does not have a step-by-step process of how to build this universal clamp rack. Okay? Also, let me apologize for whatever's going on with my camera. I'm using my phone. That's what I have. And so I don't understand what's going on with the autofocus of my phone. I don't know how to fix that. So let me apologize for that up front. So, with that being said, let the fun begin. Hey, how's it going? Hey, today I'm going to make a project, a shop project. Don't know how well you can see that, but it's I'm going to make some a clamp rack there. Universal clamp rack. I got this from the Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal. And James Hamilton over there says that this particular rack will hold up to about 40 clamps. Now, I don't think that I've got that many, but I do have a variety of clamps. And so I want to make this clamp rack to try to organize them the best that I can and make them a little bit more accessible. Right now, they're not as accessible as I need them to be. And so perhaps this rack will help me do that. So if you care to stick around, watch how I make it, come along for the ride. If not, that's okay too. Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal, Universal Clamp Rack. You want to make one for yourself, that's where to go to get the plans. Let's get started. Now before I get to cutting anything, I'm going to make sure that I'm staying as safe as I possibly can. So I've got these glasses here, but these are not safety glasses, and they don't cover the side of my head, the side of my eyes, okay? So I'm going to use these. Now these aren't very sexy, but they're going to cover everything the way that they should cover everything. Then I like using hearing protection. I cannot stand to go deaf. I'm already losing my hearing enough as it is, and I'm also going to use a dust mask. Put it on the right weight. So now this is not, by any stretch of imagination, this is not the most comfortable thing I like to do. I can't stand to wear a mask. Hate it. But my table saw kicks up sawdust so bad, it kicks it up right into my face. And I don't have an adequate dust collection system as of yet. So, anyway, I think I'm ready to go. All right. So that's the top piece cut. Let's move on to the next piece. let's check our progress. What we got so far. Well, we got the top. Let's see if we can set it up like this. No, I don't think it'll work. Let's try it. All right, so we got it like that. We got the top. And we have the back. Whoops. The back. Couple of sides. So you can see, because I made those pieces the correct size, I made this dimension the correct dimension. You can see how off that is. I've got some scrap, some other material I could probably take up that gap with, but you know what? I really don't care. It doesn't bother me a bit. So top, back, couple of sides, we're ready to continue. Warning. Consider the possible consequences if you are careless in your work. That sign you just saw has been hanging in my shop for at least 20 to 25 years. And as each of us can attest, when we have been careless in our work, we've been hurt or we've damaged part of a project. Now, I'm talking about this because I'm going to take a few minutes, and even though I've got a decent start on this, I'm going to take a few minutes and I'm going to read through these steps. No, I'm not going to record it. That'd be boring as all get out. But I'm going to take a break. I'm going to read through these plans and see what steps I want to take next, because I'm not doing this in the same way that the instructions tell me to, based on the fact that I've got pieces of material that I'm working with and I got to kind of jockey things around. So I don't want to be careless in my work. I want to be safe. I want to think through the process. That's what I would encourage you to do. If you're building something, take a break sometimes. Stop and think. Ask yourself, what's the next step? Am I ready to take that next step? Do I have what I need to take the next step? So that's what I'm going to do now. Take a few minutes, look this over, and I'll be back with you soon. So I've decided that the next step in the process is to make the hanger brackets, which means I'm going to have to utilize the jig that I made earlier. And so I may have to make some modifications to it, move those stop blocks a little bit. And I actually have a clamp here that I can use to hold the material in place. But before we get into that, I want to talk about something that I found in my shop this morning. Something that to me is absolute gold. One of my kids made this block. May not be a big deal to some, but it's huge to me. that one of my kids took time to take a small scrap piece of wood, sand it, color it for me. Do you spend time with your kids in the shop? Do you take time away from your shop to spend with them? I hope so. It's important. So I got to find a special place for this. Some place where I will see it and be reminded that it was made with love. It's simple, but it means so much. So, enough of that. Let's move on with the project. All right, so I got the piece of material clamped in the jig here. As you see, I've attached the toggle clamp. I have moved the stop blocks. Now this particular piece is double-sided taped to the jig. The rest of them won't have to be that way, but so this should be a fairly secure way of holding these pieces of material while I cut them, and we'll see what happens. The instructions don't call for it, but I simply don't trust some glue and a couple of brads to support the weight of a bunch of pipe clamps or some heavy clamps. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a drywall screw here. This is a number 6 by 1 5/8 drywall screw. So I pilot drill, clearance drill, countersink, and then drive the screw flush. I think that will make that a stronger joint and be able to carry the load better. So after doing an emergency broken dectomy to the one that I cracked, all of the brackets are done. And like I said before, those were all joined together with glue, brads, and the screws. So those are done. Got to move on to the next part. Now this piece can go on. Now, I'm willing to bet that you're the kind of person who can tell what the next step is. Even though the instructions don't give it to us, I bet you're smart enough to figure it out. That's right, we're going to put the top on. So I've got my piece of material right here. Going to put some glue and some brads. It's not going to be holding any weight. Might set a few things on top of it, but other than that, it's not going to be doing a whole lot. So let's get on with it. Well, there we have it. One universal clamp rack. It does indeed hold all the clamps that I have within reason. I mean, there are a couple of stragglers, but like this pistol grip clamp here, it's not going to hang with the rest of my pistol grip clamps, and I could probably hang it here, but I can't stand to do that, so I'm just going to put it up here. Out of sight, out of mind, right? So I don't know exactly how many clamps here I have, but I could really care less how many clamps I have. I just need this thing to work for me. So let's come in a little bit closer. I'll show you what I've got. All right, so let's start over here on this side. These are some deep reach clamps that a friend of mine gave to me. I believe that those are made by Jet, and he made this rack for them. And when he gave me the clamps, he let me have the rack to hang them on. And so I just wanted to reuse that. And it also holds these Colombian, these are an odd clamp. They're a, as you can see here, as I knock all of the pads off, they're like a double padded, I don't even know. It's just a clamp, but adds more clamping pressure, spreads it out. I don't know. I have no idea. But anyway, now I gotta find that clamp pad. And then I've got my high dollar. I mean, if you've been doing any woodworking at all and you watched numerous woodworking videos from your average Joe, they're going to have these Harbor Freight Pittsburgh clamps. I've been using them for years and I think they're great. Okay. Then I got some more. I've got some 12-inch clamps here. My longer F clamps. Got my longer F clamps here. And then, like I said earlier, I've got some pistol grip clamps. Now, I made this, patterned it after the hook that the instructions tell you to make. And this works real well for my spring clamps. And then these are some bar clamps, some pipe clamps rather, I should say. And I would have liked it if I could have made the rack work for those clamps, but that's not a bad setup right there. And then I've got some longer F clamps, and behind those I got a couple of longer pipe clamps. So all in all, it's an easy project to make, and it really does a pretty good job at holding all the clamps that you might have. Now, I don't know if you've got more clamps than this, you might want to make more than one of these, or at least make it longer. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, that's a decent clamp rack. And of course, like every other redneck I know, I'm going to stuff a bunch of stuff up there in the top, those compartments right up there, and you know, utilize as much room as I can. So, hey, you know, I appreciate you coming along for the ride. It's been a fun build. We'll see you next time. Take care. So today I got these plans from Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal. They were $5. So I'm going to put this clamp rack. So, James Hamilton over at Stumpy Nubs claims that these things will Hey, don't click away just yet. If you like that video, hit the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to ring the bell. That way you get all the notifications on the latest content. Thanks for watching.